Middle East crisis, the war in the Middle East between Israel and Iran, has opened a Pandora box of international law. It has opened a Pandora box of international norms. It has opened a Pandora box as to whether United Nations Security Council, the Permanent Five, are worth the salt that they call Permanent Five. It has exposed several loopholes that need to be sealed for us to be able to live peacefully on the universe. The United Nations Security Council Permanent Five, most of them don't see eye to eye. 3 against 2. Several parts, wars across the world, especially the war in Syria, the war in Ukraine, has divided these superpowers, 3 against 2, with Russia and China going on one side, Britain, France, and the United States of America on the other side. This puts the world to a danger that it is time, and it is high time, that Africa demands, or Africa demanded, the expansion of the United Nations Security Council from 5 permanent members to equitable numbers up to per population across the world. Because if we have more members and more numbers on the United Nations Security Council, the question of veto and the question of others refusing or taking the law of the United Nations in their hands, destroying the charter, will not occur. Chapter 7 of the United Nations Charter is very clear. Article 39 and 40 of that charter is clear. The United Nations Security Council must keep peace. Do we see any peace kept by America? Do we see any peace kept by Russia? We have seen 2 countries that are the biggest in terms of arms. One is fighting in Ukraine. America is supporting, taking sides in conflicts across the world. The recent war in the last 13 days, where Israel decided to strike down Iran, to strike the nuclear weapons of Iran and other places, killing almost all the high command of Iranian army, is a very important opening eye to the people of the world. What do we do here? Yes, in October 2023, Hamas attacked Israel, killing about 1,500 people. Israel took retaliatory defense. It went after Hamas. We have lost over 50,000 people are gone. The world is still watching. The UN Secretary General has become more of a helpless Secretary General who has no teeth to bite any of the superpowers that are involved in support of one side of the conflict. Isn't it time now for us to sit down, look at the UN itself after the Second World War? What happened? We put the border there so that no war should ever divide us again. No war should ever come again. But has the UN in the 70 years of existence, or over 70 years of existence, has it worked? Is it working? Is the United Nations Security Council therefore working? The answer is no. Isn't it time for us and the people of the world to rethink, to go back to the drawing board, to find a long-lasting solution to the crisis in the Middle East, to the crisis in Sudan, to the crisis in the DRC Congo, to the crisis in Ukraine, to the crisis in Libya, to the crisis in many other parts of the world where war is going on, Yemen. If we can't find that solution, if we can't heal, if we can't stop the wars, then what's the use of the United Nations Security Council? If we can't expand it such that Africa has 6 or minimum 4 seats, so that we can also balance, put in our ideas. We have a population of 1.4 billion people. We don't have even a seat. We have a rotational seat given every 2 years, which has no veto powers, which has nothing. This is just like onlookers. They just vote according to the post, the American whims, or according to the Chinese or Russian or whatever it is, or abstention. Isn't it time now for the people of the world to think of alternatives? What is alternative to the United Nations? We had put there our regional bodies, like the African Union. The conflict, therefore, in the Middle East will impact economic movement, political movement, flights, shipping. That prices of commodities will shoot up. We have to find a solution. And I agree with Britain. And I agree with President Museveni's letter, where he says the only way out is for the two sides to sit down and talk and recognize the Israelis and the Palestinians must sit down and go back and look at the two-tier state system that was negotiated in Camp David and Oslo agreements. Put that into serious consideration. Let them live alongside each other without claims of this or that, which has failed and created more chaos to the Palestinians, which has created more chaos to the Israelis. A ping-pong game must come to an end. Disagree, go back to disagreements and create peace. How long will Israel run to the bunkers? Violence has never succeeded. The First World War, the Second World War, still at the end, people came on table and sat down and formed the UN or the League of Nations to end the war. Why can't we think of diplomatic and political solutions instead of thinking of arming sites, testing huge bombs on territories, which will affect later on with radiation, which will affect the entire world? If you look at the airspace of the Middle East, which is the hub of economics of the world, Dubai, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, all the routes are affected. Why don't we sit down and make a change? The United Nations Security Council and the UN itself seem to have let the world down. The Security Council permanent members have let us down. Isn't it time for us to rise and think differently? Thank you.